Thank you. Damn right. Hello. 1 second, sorry. I need to do thingies. And then we're gonna watch a Wix stream, you know? Does my mic sound okay? There's no like weird noises or anything, right? What is this shit? Hello.
Now, since Franklin D. Roosevelt, the Democratic Party has been the premier party for based, freedom enjoying patriots. The New
Based.
Deal represents the modern recognition that we as a society supremely benefit from proactively affirming our shared humanity and providing the means and protections by which we are truly able to not only pursue but actually attain happiness. We were the party that witnessed the economic devastation of the Great Depression, witnessed a society of hard-working men and women standing in breadlines or broken from industrial labor, of the elderly languishing under the weight of inflation, worked to the
Oh, I
bone
just
until the
realized I
day
have
they
nothing set up for alerts. So if someone donated, I wouldn't hear shit. Anyway, let me see. I mean, I was just logged in. Okay, cool.
died. We witnessed that and said we can and must do better, and struck a grand new deal in society on behalf of we the people. Then, when America was finally
Sorry.
ready, the Democratic Party threw off the residual chains of slavery, banishing
Okay, fuck this shit.
the Jim Crow apartheid state, enshrining
Apartheid.
and protecting once and for all the rights of all
Babe.
races to equally partake in the fruits of liberty. That is the foundation, and those are the values upon which our Democratic Party stand. And it is those values we must each represent in order to regain the trust of the people. And with that, welcome once again to the Marketplace of Ideas, the show that brings good faith and good fun to political debate and cultural discussion. The show some have called the sloppy thirds of online political culture, and frankly, I think that's fair. We here at the Marketplace of Ideas strive to steal the very best ideas from this corner of the internet and pass them off as our own. And here today with us are some of the distinguished pundits whose ideas we've been stealing. Returning once again against his better judgment, we have champion of liberalism and free speech, Wick of Wick TV. Welcome,
Well,
Wick. Please introduce yourself to the world.
I'm Wick from Wick TV, champion of liberalism and free speech.
true.
About correct.
Ah!
And joining us for the first time, we have Mr.
No!
Mooten, a gamer bro turned protector of democracy. Tell those who don't know you a little bit about yourself, please.
My life. Very sage.
I'm a guy who's getting into politics, and I do a morning show every morning at 7.
Anything else?
True!
And also, for the first time, one of the few more rational, further left progressive who I've gained a lot of respect for, Jola. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Drella Politics, I spend my time mostly on Instagram and TikTok nowadays, critiquing MAGA and also critiquing pragmatism on the far left and also the deep center of the Democratic Party.
True.
You're like a
Thank you for
centrist
having
then,
me.
huh?
Oh, I'm the perfect centrist. Hell yeah.
The perfect centrist.
Alrighty. Well, with that, now that we have our guests introduced, I think it's time that we play our game that we like to play at the start of the show to get the good faith juices flowing. A little game that we call Straw Man Steel Man.
Straw man.
Steel Man.
I like
So
this.
much like the game sounds, this is the game where we give you a straw man argument that is a poorly constructed argument built to be knocked over.
This is actually
And
pretty funny.
these arguments are going to be targeted to what we expect you to not agree.
Okay, I kind of like this show. Where is it? What is it called? I need to actually watch this.
Game that we call Straw Man Steel Man.
Straw man.
Steel Man. So much like the game sounds, this is the game where we give you a straw man argument that is a poorly constructed argument built to be knocked over. And these arguments are going to be targeted to what we expect you to not agree with. And so you're going to be tasked, if you would be so kind, as to steel man these arguments and make them as strong as you can possibly make them in spite of your disagreement with the argument. Afterwards, you will have the opportunity to say what you actually believe. With that, I'd like to continue our tradition of welcoming our guests to the halls.
I know,
of the
right? It's pretty
heroes of
good, eh?
debate.
Hello,
And,
Blanket.
in
How are you?
honor of this theme, we will be showing them pictured in the middle of making what I'm sure at the time was a very salient point, whatever they were talking about. On my right, we've got Mr. Wick here, and then on my left, for the first time, we have Joe La Politics.
Good. Just
and
right.
Mr.
Very
Newton.
nice.
Wick,
There's
you
a
wouldn't-
fourth empty box there. What happened there? We were going to have Mr. Dylan Burns on, but unfortunately the DSA used their most powerful wizards to summon a storm to keep him from coming on, which I would think is a tactical error because I think he was going to at least speak somewhat positively for
True.
the far left joining in the democratic discussion. So once again, a tactical error from the DSA. So
well, you love to
he,
see it. So
he may try and join us, but he's worried about his connection, so he might join us at some point.
True.
With that, however, Wick, if you wouldn't mind starting us off and reading your scroll of the straw man, if you please.
Let me make it big so I can see it.
Hell.
MAGA poses a cataclysmic threat to our nation, so we need the broadest coalition possible, even if that means welcoming. Oh, I should have. No. I don't need raids. I'm all good. Also, I didn't decide to stream until like well after you stopped streaming, so I was like, I don't think anyone wants to hear me coughing on the mic, you know? Also, hello, thank you for stopping by. Anyway. Even if that means Bosnia's war criminal joint based. True. Hey, look, you know, I could start watching some Asmongold stuff and ruin your night again. MAGA poses a cataclysmic threat to our nation, so we need the broadest coalition possible, even if that means welcoming the socialist commies and even Nazi oyster farmers into the party. No, please, based.
Yeah.
MAGA poses a cataclysmic threat to our nation, so we need the broadest coalition possible, even if that means welcoming the socialists, commies, and even Nazi oyster farmers into the party.
Well, Wick, my expectation
Is that a straw
is that
man?
this is.
Is it?
I think so personally. I think that it's. But I would expect that you might have some disagreement. In spite of that disagreement with that stance, though, can you find the legitimacy within this stance?
Sure. MAGA is such an existential threat to our country that we do have to accept help from corners and ally ourselves with corners we would otherwise, in better conditions, be adverse to working with. We need to do it, however, because if we don't, we will not survive. Democracy will not survive, and nothing we do in the future will matter because we will lose today. And the long term does not matter if the short term, if you die in the short term. So that's my statement.
Yeah, well said. But what do you actually believe?
I actually believe that one of the surest way that MAGA is a cataclysmic threat, but one of the surest ways to ensure that it still has pull in American politics for decades to come is by lowering our standards, by disregarding the threat of the far left, and by deciding that we are willing to do whatever it takes to win. By lowering our integrity, we make it so low information voters have a harder time distinguishing between the right and the left, and therefore it's going to make it harder to win in the future.
I think that's a pretty fair statement. It's not even just that. A lot of the issues that people have with the far right are also like a thing with the far left, right? They're very anti-establishment. Their opinions on like geopolitical strategic goals within the West are completely adversarial. So there's a lot of problems with voting for far left candidates. I don't think, one of the things that I would say is I don't think people should have the pendulum is really just populist relocation. Yeah, pretty much. But I think one of the things that I would really like to see is there's this mentality of you either vote for the far left or you're allowing the right to win, and I don't think that's the case. I think if they have, this is just objectively what they should do, if the Democratic primary ends up in a situation where the leftist ends up getting the Dem primary, they should still have a moderate, like progressive run in that election anyway. Even if it's like they have to create their own third party or something, because they shouldn't just be surrendering ground to these people. I also think a lot of libs need to understand that. How do I explain this? The problem is that when it's really easy to pick up populism, right? Populism is just like a very low IQ political thing. And it's like, to combat that, you've got to actually have, you've got to work on your language a bit, right? One of the things that I really would like to see as well is people need to stop saying things like, socialism never worked, right? Because a lot of like leftists will have this opinion that the reason why the reason why socialism never worked is because the the powers that be stopped it from working, right? The West, oppressed the Soviet Union and yada yada yada, right? All of that shit. What they should say is that socialism and communism is a scam. It's a fucking that's because that's what it is, right? It overpromises things that it can't possibly fucking deliver. That is a better way, because then it changes the discussion about socialism and its credibility, rather than, you've got to get people to come to a conclusion on their own and like direct their thought pattern a certain way instead of letting leftists do it, right? As also, both far left and far right say they represent society, but something is holding them back to get in power. No class awareness or Jews. Yeah, pretty much. But in actual fact, their beliefs are just so far on the fringes that most people don't really agree with it, right?
So,
yeah, that makes sense to me. I think that's a stance a lot of people can see the legitimacy of. We don't want to associate with Nazis if we don't have to, and it would seem that we may not. But we'll get into things a little bit more later. For now, I'd like to move on. Jola, if you could please read from your scroll.
DSA is poised to swallow the Democratic Party. Oh yeah, whole. Oh yeah, and we'll be stuck voting for.
Oh my god, this guy's hilarious. I need to play that back again. think of the emus, Megu. They have a right too. Emus do not have rights. They go into the camp as well. Also, before communism, you always have a vanguard stage, which is extremely authoritarian. People don't give up their property willingly. It's not even... Well, this was something that... Like, I assume by property you mean their houses or whatever. But this was something that I thought was the case too. But, like, just for objective sakes, communism... The way that they allocate housing and that is they didn't treat it as... How was it? It was like a house was an individual right. Oh, what was it? Hang on, let me find it. There was like a thing around housing. Yeah, personal property versus private property, yes. So, yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, you already got to it. Okay, yeah, y'all fought on those motherfuckers. Yeah, we fucking did, bro. You should not mess with them. They are very dangerous animals, like, you have no idea. They kill billions of Australians, you know? Australia was basically Wakanda at one point before the Emu War. Okay? Like you're telling me that is not a killing machine? Like, objectively? I was trying to make a funny of the Great Emu War in Australia. They are very dangerous animals, and you should be very concerned. Look at these eyes. These are the eyes of a killer. You know?
From your scroll.
No more tangents.
The DSA is poised to swallow the Democratic Party. Oh yeah, whole. Oh yeah, and will be to swallow the Democratic Party. Oh yeah, whole. Oh yeah, and will be stuck voting for Hassan Piker for president by 2028.
Sorry.
All right.
I'm
Find the
dying.
legitimacy to that claim if you can, Jola.
The Democratic Party is going to be overcome by the DSA like it's a growing cancer, and we're going to be hoodwinked by the same radical forces that MAGA did. That's essentially the big argument.
Sure.
Terrifying, yeah.
Now,
Based-
what do you find any legitimacy to that claim? My expectation is that you might disagree with it.
No, unlike some liberals, I'm very confident in the Democratic Party and liberalism. I think that progressive liberals and center liberals can power through the DSA wave. And we need more liberals to critique the Democratic Party because, I mean, the party, where the DSA did win, it could have been very easy for that to not happen. So like Zoran Mamdani, that is what started this entire thing, right? When it comes to all these other candidates elected in New York City. If the Democrats did not support Andrew Cuomo, if there were not thousands of staffers to come out for Andrew Cuomo, and they supported another option that was still progressive like a Brad Lander, maybe we never get Mamdani. And even with Andrew Cuomo being such a crappy candidate, it was still a pretty close race.
All right. Well said.
That is
then
true.
We will move on.
Like, Andrew Cuomo was a fucking dog shit candidate to put up against Mamdani. They mounted, like, one of those Rambos on the back of a car full of lead, but due to their adrenaline, they keep on attacking during the Emu War. Okay. Yes, they very much... It's not even adrenaline, it's more like they have a berserk mode. You know what I mean?
Last but certainly not least, Mr. Mooten, if you wouldn't mind reading from your scroll.
It would be better to have Stalin, Mao, or the dreaded Francesca Hong in my political position. Sorry, in any political position over a MAGA candidate, even at the state level.
So, Mr. Mooten, are you able to find any legitimacy to this stance?
It would be better to have a Stalin, Mao, or the dreaded Francesca Hong in any political position over the MAGA candidate, even at the state level. Actually, yeah, I would be willing to agree with that because there's so many like MAGA's not just like, at the federal level or whatever, right? Or in Congress. They're all on these different state level fucking things that they've been doing, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is basically just saying like it would be better for somebody aligned with the Democrats, like Francesca Hong, to be in the position of power over a MAGA candidate because the MAGA candidates might do something absolutely crazy.
Depends if guardrails hold, perhaps. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, don't get me wrong. Like, a lot of these DSA people are fucking psychotic, but I don't know. Were those people educated? I know it's not one of MAGA's strongholds. I don't know, to be honest.
Like we've seen time and time again.
Yeah, it is precedented. But what's your actual stance on this issue?
My actual stance is Francesca Hong will have to earn my vote. It's still the primary, so you can say anything you want about her as long as it's not like super crazy. But also, I think that she would be detrimental to the Democratic Party. I think that the DSA is a pretty big threat to the Democratic Party, and they're not here to be allies. They're here to subvert and stab us in the back.
Yeah. Yes,
All right.
That is true.
Well, I think that was nice and concise. We will go ahead and end this segment. It was a great round of Straw Man, Steel Man to get us started. Before we jump all the way into the conversation, I would also like to officially welcome our guests to the actual marketplace of the marketplace of ideas. And when I say actual marketplace, I do mean fake marketplace. It is not a real one. We do not actually have any gambling, but we do have a fake stock list where we have the creators who come on our show. And as you can
Are we fucking serious? Dude, come on, guys.
see at the bottom, we've got Jola Politics, Mr. Mooten, and Wick TV.
I'm biased because the Holodomor. But yeah, if we manage to survive MAGA, that means we can survive a tanky. Yeah, I don't really know, like, because all of this is like something that you would have an issue with in hindsight, right? If I say that tankies don't have that much power and they're not that much of a threat or some shit like that, in hindsight, that could completely backfire. They could completely overrun the Democratic Party, and then you've got two populist, retarded political parties in the US, right? But then on the other end, if I overhype them and then it turns out they had no real power and MAGA's able to capitalize on it as well, that's also really bad too. So it's like, it's a really fucking shitty situation. One of the problems as well is like, if MAGA's able to, because right now they're really on the back foot with the midterms. If they manage to like kind of negate some of the damage, who knows what could fucking happen. Also, I'm going to disagree with Destiny a little bit too. Donald Trump is absolutely going to run for a third term. He strongly underestimates how egotistical Donald Trump is.
All waiting for someone to scoop up some fake shares with the fake currency that we run our Discord server with, we call Griftcoin. So if you want to join our Discord and participate in that and show your support for the creators that you like the most, that is one way you can do so. If you'd like to support our channel, please consider visiting our YouTube channel and giving us a like and subscribe on this video before you go back to...
You know what, buddy? Sure.
To the streamer of your choice with whom you are currently
We are
watching.
new to the game, but we are growing and learning, and much like the DSA, we're going to swallow the discourse whole.
Oh my god.
Yeah, real good at swallowing here.
With that said, discourse. We do indeed have a long-going discussion amongst the left as of late on the internet in regards to the DSA's pull and influence within the Democratic Party. And with the three of us, I don't want to preempt your opening statements too much, but my understanding is that we all collectively recognize some negative qualities of the DSA that we should be aware of. So, since we seem to have that common ground, as you give your opening statements, I'd like to pose a few questions towards you. One, is the DSA more dangerous than MAGA? Two,
No.
are we not, if you're not concerned about the DSA, is it because you think that they don't have the strength and capability of taking over the Democratic Party in the same way that MAGA did the Republicans? And three, where are
I'd believe it. Political capital is still confidence backed. I'm only 25, but in 2024, I was still shocked he was on the ballot. I don't know what to expect him. That's exactly my point, right? Everything is unprecedented. In a world that is not completely insane, Donald Trump wouldn't have been able to run in 2024. He would have been in prison. But we don't live in that world. We live in this fucking clown world, I guess.
your lines when it comes to
Unfortunately.
voting for DSA candidates? With that, Wick, if you wouldn't mind starting us off, please let us know your thoughts.
Sure. I oppose the DSA for the same fundamental reason I oppose MAGA, because I'm a liberal, and liberalism requires limits on political power, even when the people wielding that power claim to be fighting for something good. The DSA, socialism, etc., treats institutions, courts, the civil service, the press, and political opposition as obstacles to be brought under control when they interfere with their movement. Okay. MAGA comes from a different ideological tradition, but too often reaches the same conclusions. Liberal institutions are impediments to transformative politics. Capitalism, right, is not merely something to regulate, but something to overcome. And existing constitutional restraints, such as the Senate, are treated as barriers to real democracy, quote unquote. And I reject both of MAGA's framing of this, and I reject the socialist framing of this. I don't want a right-wing government powerful enough to impose its vision of America on anyone else, and I don't want a socialist government powerful enough to impose its vision either. I think people are taking DSA as a threat not as seriously as they should. Not to say that we're going to snap our fingers and wake up tomorrow in their socialist
Yes.
utopia hellhole thing, right? Where they've subverted the Democratic Party. But the hour is later than you think. They already have a lot of influence in media, academia, and with staffers, the staffer class, right, in politics. And it's a real problem, and we need to wake up and just take a stand. Just draw some lines. Don't be one of these weirdos who says, yeah, I would vote for Mao over Trump. No, you wouldn't, and you shouldn't. Don't vote for the mass murderer killing person, right? Don't
That's
vote
true.
for the rapist. Don't vote for the person who wants to abolish the Senate and the police. You can not give them your vote. You have free will. Make that choice. Anyway, yep. That's me.
Beautiful. Much appreciated, Wick. Thank you so much for being here once again with us. Jola,
It is a bit concerning that a lot of the people on the far left do sweep for like Stalin and Mao, who are mass murderers. I don't think I've ever heard Donald Trump say anything about how Hitler was kind of based or anything, right? He has like kind of echoed some of his statements, but not directly said, you know what? Megu 2028? Listen, I am voting illegally in the US election. I don't care anymore, you know?
would you mind
Oh my god, I got so much shit on Reddit for that joke, by the way. Let me see if I can find the post. So, like, I did this on Reddit, right? I said, this was after Abdul El Sayed won the primary. We bus you in. What a bus, true. There are a lot of things I disagree with him on, and I'd be willing to look past them and give my vote. But the biggest thing preventing me right now from supporting him is the fact that I am Australian. And then, like, a lot of the early fucking comments were just absolutely the biggest crybabies I've ever seen. I get the joke, but can we not do this shit? For the good of all of us, let's not give people reasons to fuck this up, even on accident. Like, is someone really gonna see I will not be voting for Abdul El Sayed from some random cunt and decide not to? Like, if they're that stupid, they don't deserve to vote. And what was another one? And then there's this one, would rather die than vote for anyone that Hassan has worked with and shit. It's just like, okay. Then die, I guess. I don't know, bro.
Giving us your opening statement on the matter.
So I don't think DSA is as dangerous for a couple of reasons. So number one, it is their lack of ability to get power,
I won't be voting for him either. Based.
but also who the DSA really is. Now, MAGA is made up of radical, like, I don't know, 50-plus-year-olds, maybe between the ages of 45 and 70 around, the generation that was lead poisoned the most. They are very stuck in their ways. They're going to be like that forever.
I like that
These are
one.
the people that supported George Bush when he was saying crazy shit like, it's a holy conquest for us to go into Iraq. These people are not going to ever change. But the young people, I know people who were probably DSA adjacent when they were in their 18s, 20s, 30s, especially during, who are older now, especially during like Vietnam protests, who very quickly, and they were like radical hippies and whatever, who very quickly voted as just like normal liberals as they got older. The DSA is a bunch of kids, and there are very deep.
Baba lives in Grand Rapids, but I don't need to convince her not to vote for him. True. I don't know, man. Like just objectively as an Australian, like a lot of the stuff that's going on in the US, everyone just kind of just looks at it like, what the fuck is going on over there? But that being said, we're slowly turning into that shit as well, like with the rise of the far right over here. Though they've been a little bit underwhelming. Let me check their polls, actually. Cool, I love that. I didn't want to do that, but you know what? We'll accept it. When was this done? July 27th. Yeah. Like, what is wrong with people? I hate living in fucking the West, man. Everyone's just retarded.
Issues on just
Is it partly cultural, you think? Here, showing your ass is applauded generally? Base. No, I am a bit of a nut job. I think all of these fucking... Like, there's a globalization in political movements right now. And, all of these people are coordinating with each other and propping each other up and shit. You're seeing it a lot with like who finances these groups and shit. It's pretty bad. That's why Donald Trump keeps like backing all these far right political parties in Europe.
the
right?
social environment around the DSA and the Democratic Party in organizing circles that make it really easy to get young people attracted to the DSA, which is something we can go into at a different time in the conversation. And also, yeah, their ability to get power. America, they conflict with everything that has ever been America. So I really don't think they can ride with the culture. Republicans can have the majority white Christian football culture, and the DSA can barely even talk about Thanksgiving. So.
Okay. Well, much appreciated. Thank you so much for that, Jola. And Mr. Mooten, if you would be so kind, give us your opening statement as well.
It's kind of funny that Australia is the West considered the geographical place. Also, why are you guys in the Eurosong Festival? Because we are part of the Commonwealth. So I imagine that plays into it a bit, right?
Yeah, my opening's gonna be pretty short and sweet. The DSA have wacky policies. It's voted on. They have like a national committee every 2 years or 4 years. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it is. And that's what these people want. They want to abolish the police. They want to get rid of the Senate. They want to have open borders. So why should we not be scared of them? They're telling you exactly what they want to do. I don't understand people who are like, oh, well, they won't be able to do it, blah, blah, blah. These people are at a crucial point where you kind of need to kill the baby in the crib, in my opinion. Yeah.
That's a pretty good point.
Okay. So a couple marks of disagreement.
You got to kill baby Hitler right now. Don't wait for him to goonocide people. you know?
There, but hopefully it will be a better discussion for it. With that, we'll open up the discussion.
Yeah,
Well-
I guess I just don't like this idea that many on the left have decided, because MAGA is the enemy and MAGA is very, very bad, and it is the enemy and it is very, very bad, that they're giving a blank check to people who oppose MAGA, right? They will literally vote for anyone who opposes MAGA.
It does drive me insane though. Civilized Canadians on the other side of a lake, so close yet so far away. True. Yeah, so Pisco said this to Mooten to make Mooten feel bad. You want to kill the baby in the crib? Mooten, yes. True. I mean, it's a euphemism, right? I think it's a pretty valid point. But the problem is, I think it has to be like, I think, you know what actually the objective take is? They need to do both at once. They need to kill the baby in the crib and destroy MAGA in the elections. So, yeah, that's what they got to do. Tell the DSA to make their own party and fuck off. That's what they should do.
No matter how
Problem
bad,
solved.
no matter how much long-term damage they want to do. And I understand, right? A lot of people are trying to kind of minimize that, the damage that the DSA could do.
To kill babies sounds bad. That's what. Okay. So okay, good for him. He used to hang around Destiny. Destiny has all of the edgiest fucking euphemisms and metaphors on the fucking planet. Like, who the fuck cares? It's got to be centered on Hong. Abdul should slide in his Ukraine stance. Should slide with his Ukraine stance. Is he pro-Ukraine? Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? He's already better than 99% of the DSA guys, so.
If they were to gain power by saying things like, well, you know, well, as Mooten said, right? Like, oh, you know, they just won't have enough power to implement the policies that they actually want. Yeah, but you wouldn't vote for someone who's like,
Abdul isn't a member of the DSA? How is he not? Also, I'm just going to say this. How the fuck did anyone vote for Abdul when he lied about being a fucking doctor? He still has doctor in his name on Twitter. It's crazy. Holy
my
shit.
policy position is I'm going to kill you. But don't worry, I don't have the votes right now to do that.
True. Yeah, I mean, he sounds like one of them, I agree. Yeah, pretty much.
Right? You never vote for someone like that, because in the off chance something happens and they would get that power, you know what they're going to do. Just don't do it. I don't.
It's not even that. Like, because they're to the left, they will consistently they will you know, espouse can't even talk. espouse moral purism, right? So every time you try to implement a policy, they're going to say, no, it's not enough. It's basically doing nothing, yada, yada, yada. And then what ends up happening is they just kind of block legislation, right? So you're just getting blocked from the left and the right. Yeah. Israel, Palestine. True. The DSA stance is nuke Israel.
Understand, and this is to you, Jola. I see you running cover all the time for these people, right? Like this
Ooh,
this
based.
soft cover of don't worry about them. They're not that bad. They're all just a bunch of kids. And we need to have a discussion of how much they've already infiltrated these spaces, right? It's really bad.
My issue largely is that I don't see people like you, Wick, criticizing the Democratic Party. I know we've had this discussion before, but if you go to a local Democratic Party like Democratic
Yep, never did. Residents and epidemiologist would have been useful during COVID, but yeah, it's a grift. Yeah. He's basically doing a Mike from PA where he said he's a fucking lawyer, but he didn't pass the bar exam or anything. It's fucking hilarious. Abdul from PA. That's what his name should be. Zero state situation, one big nuke on Israel and Palestine. True. That's what I'm going to run on
committee or whatever.
in 2028.
Democratic committee. I don't want to give away, blow my cover, Democratic committee. But it's going to be a bunch of 45 plus year olds. It's going to be maybe.
Also, to be fair, COVID isn't gone. We still got cases, but it's never going to leave technically. No, of course not. It's just always going to be there, right?
The average age might be 60, 70, 80. So there are people
60, 70, 67, 67, 67. Oh, my monitor broke. Okay, never mind. It didn't break, but yeah.
literally in cities who are from more affluent, white backgrounds or whatever backgrounds where they can afford to pay dues, or they just go to the meetings for fun because their friends go. And it's the only place where there's organizing happening where it's going to be younger
Jesse,
people.
Ebola
Now,
is
Democrats can
coming true.
either say the DSA is a cancer and all this crazy stuff about it, or they can try to compete with DSA where they are very effective. And my question is largely, and I wish we had someone involved in like direct DS. I don't know much about what DSA does to know if there's anything they do in particular that can replicate that. If that's just going to be where all the college age people go naturally, if many of them do that, yeah, it's really difficult to find that balance. I feel like we can defeat the DSA rather easily. I genuinely, and I know people say I'm a secret DSA agent. I think people saying that about me is honestly part of the brain rot, the Hassan derangement syndrome happening online. If you think I'm not going to be your ally in your movement,
you know
then
what?
you're gonna
The derangement syndrome thing is such a dog shit fucking talking point. It just says, oh, no one should be able to criticize me because you're just deranged because you mention everything fucked up that I did. Just kill yourself. Like, unironically.
You're gonna
fuck
fall
me
into,
dead.
obscurity.
Why
You're
shouldn't
not-
the
you're not
DSA
gonna have any
members
power
run as their
whatsoever.
own party?
True.
Why shouldn't they just run
I mean, they
under
should.
the
They
DSA?
can. Yeah, they should.
Yeah, they
Well, my big
should.
thing too.
No, because then they can't slander the Democratic Party as being fucking socialist on the right, can they? Jesus Christ.
Well, with like Francesca Hong,
Their job
who are
is
you,
to
if you're gonna
damage the
say we're
Dems.
against MAGA? Who are you to say Wisconsin Democratic primary voters are wrong? Who are you to say that Maine Democratic primary voters are wrong when they want a more populist candidate? Are you saying that the will of the Democratic voters of Maine and Wisconsin just don't matter now because they supported a DSA candidate?
It's not that they don't matter. It's that I have issues with the voting populace if they elect someone who is bad for democracy. I have issues with the voting populace who elected Trump, right?
Okay, if you
Is-
don't
are
like
we-
the
what are we gonna
voters, you can say
oh, are
that.
you just against the will of the people now because you oppose Trump? Because Trump got the popular vote, you should be okay with the will of the people? No. What is this argument? Sorry, Moon. I'm
Well, he
No,
did
you're good.
become
Basewick. Defund the DSA. Yes! Defund the DSA.
president, and Trump should have became president because people did vote for him. I would prefer they don't do that. But we're talking about our fellow Democrats, our fellow no.
Why are they your fellow
If
Democrats?
they look in
if you're
Wisconsin,
voting
for
for
example,
Plattner or Hong,
and-
you're not my fellow Democrat.
Base!
Hong, for
Thank
the
you,
Hong
Wick.
case, there is no other
Fucking
there was
legend.
there's like 10 other candidates in the race. The one that was competing with Hong had some type of like financial disclosure issues because a dumb intern like double or triple reported every donation they were getting.
Their culture is extremely culture. Dear God, the real sex pest. True. The DSA stands for fucking Democratic Sex Pest of America. Every member is a sex pest.
They were saying there were ad expenditures that were not even real. So she had to drop out. And the person who they have running against Hong now, he said that he joined back into the race after he failed his campaign because he got a message from God in the form of a red bird that his wife saw. And because she saw this red bird, he knew it was his time to run. And he's campaigning going around saying, "Hey guys, we can't really do anything. I'll be honest." I mean,
it's less crazy than abolishing police.
I disagree there, but I would still say abolishing the police is insane, but a sign from God is pretty fucking crazy.
I've seen some of Crowley, the gentleman who is the direct competitor with Hong now. I've seen some of his takes. He has good, solid, one of the best takes on data centers that I have seen, right? Everyone, all these sloppulists now are like, we need a moratorium on data centers. This guy, Crowley, comes out and he's like, well, no moratorium. We could regulate them and maybe address some of the issues with the environmental effects that people have concerns with, but we should be building data centers. Like, data centers have revitalized the communities that they've built in. And being anti-data center is a lot like being anti-nuclear in today's vernacular.
Ugh. What's your problem, Blanket? Why are you so rude? Also, hello. That revitalization isn't going to last. No, it would. What do you mean? The data center's not going to go away. They're always going to need data centers. It's probably going to be there forever. By having a data center, no, the data centers will run on a skeleton crew. Right. But you still have to have like different infrastructure and everything within that area. No real jobs. That's not necessarily true. So with data centers, it's not just, they just put all the shit there and leave it. They consistently have to change like servers, upgrade them and everything like that constantly if they're physical servers. They always require technicians to go in and to resolve issues. You have to patch the servers, right? As well as most data centers also require security. You require people to actually staff the building. There's a lot of different things that go into data centers. They're not just empty buildings with servers in them. I know, because I used to work in one.
It's going to make us poorer, weaker, and less able to compete in the real world.
Yeah, it's a
Crowley is
stupid
a
position.
good candidate. Crowley is the union candidate. Crowley is someone we should be supporting.
There is construction, yeah, and that'll have some jobs, and then, yes, all the maintenance. I cannot agree. I hate them. I hate everything about them. I can't type fast. That's fine. No, look, I'm just saying, like, they absolutely are extremely necessary, right? We need data centers. People use the internet and, use online services more and more and more every year. I understand that the AI shit is probably making things grow a lot quicker than what they have in the past, but it's one of those things where the issue seems to be about the amount of energy consumption that they're doing. So I was like, okay, so they need to resolve the energy consumption issue, which will eventually be a thing, right? They will resolve those energy consumption issues. And usually they do that by having, more powerful servers that can... It's generative AI, massive unprecedented copyright infringement, harmful to commissions, and there's AI sketches built on the Ultra. Displaced AI anger. I'm just more concerned with environmental impacts. I mean, I have conceded to the fact that the environment is just fucked at this point. But, I'm sorry, but just the fact that they're not doing anything about climate change, like, we're just fucked anyway. So, they build a lot of data centers here in the Netherlands because the Netherlands is one big delta, so a lot of fresh water for cooling. Yeah, there's a lot of different things. Like where I live is a bit remote, so they want to put data centers here too, and we get a lot of water. Yeah, I know, Blanket. It sucks. Like when the Great Barrier Reef dies, everyone's gonna feel that because it's almost gone. But it is what it is. Sorry, guys, I'm a bit sick today, so I sound very nasally.
Hong is a
again,
crazy person.
We're
think
talking
two
about
things can be true.
politics. But we're talking about politics here. You can say F the voters, screw the voters. Okay, you can keep on saying screw the voters, we hate the voters.
The water should be fine, but also Chicago's always going to be okay because we use water cribs instead of tables and wells. So the problem is that with more energy consumption means more water consumption, right? They need to reduce the amount of energy that's being used by them. More energy consumption means higher power prices overall because there's not enough resources and everything, right? And there's already pretty high inflation that's impacting the cost of living. So, you know, doing things that, like, I mean, look, maybe if they had fucking nuclear reactors everywhere, that would probably fix it. But people don't like nuclear reactors because they saw the Chernobyl movie, right?
But politically, we need political influence to stop the rise of sloppyism and MAGA. So if you want to say the Democratic voters are dumb, then, you know, I don't know what I can tell you at that point.
Mr.
DSA
Moon, what were you saying? Sorry.
No, I don't remember. I was just gonna say the DSA member.
Drought places is going to be rough, like New Mexico. Yeah, I think they need to just focus it on places with a lot of water. I don't know why they don't. Oh no, I suppose because it makes traveling there difficult. You know what they should do? They should put the data centers in the ocean so that they can kill all the fish.
Members are the sloppiest.
Okay, then beat them. Why are Democratic candidates
We
in
are.
Wisconsin
So
not
there's
beating
two.
Hong?
Well,
Why
they
is she
are.
winning?
So
Why do you
they
think-
are. Two things can be true. One, Democrats can be running bad candidates, and the DSA can be bad. That's what's happening here in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
The Democrats seem to not be running good candidates. It seems like Hong is probably going to win, and sadly, the Democrats are probably going to lose Wisconsin over it.
Yeah, and I think that's a tragedy that the moderate wing of the party could not find anybody to run. That's a good candidate.
Why? Oh,
yeah.
this wild, and you've done this a lot. Every
Mhm.
time something happens that is bad, it's always the establishment's fault, right?
Yes.
I said
Plattner
nothing about
winning
the establishment. I
Was
said
the
they are losing.
establishment's fault, right?
I said they are losing
Hong
to
doing
DSA.
well,
That is correct,
it's
right?
establishment's fault. Sometimes it's okay to acknowledge that
Get rid of the AI ads in the loop and put data centers here. Okay. Bruh.
are
Voters
bad
are
actors
stupid.
on the other
Fuck data centers. You know what? I hate data centers. Nuke them.
side.
Nuke them
who are
along with
capable
Israel and Palestine.
of being of having agency, and their agency is lying to the public and pushing bad candidates that convince the voting class, right? Convince
Hong's
the
not a
vote-
good liar, man. She's not a good liar. She's really bad at it, to be honest. She can't answer a question about Thanksgiving. She's like, I love Thanksgiving because I'm a cook, and I'm gonna use that to bring people around the table. She's a terrible candidate. My question again is, why are there no moderate And by the way, the polls can be off by 25 points, and I will be happy, to be honest. I don't want Hong to run. I think she's a disaster. But my question again is, why can we not have any accountability for Democrats?
Put the data center in West Virginia. Isn't that swampland? Yeah, but then they got to deal with like all of the ogres like losing their shit because people keep like encroaching on their land. You know, it's not fair on the ogres.
Who are losing to these types of candidates. Like, we have to have
Voice crack. You voice cracked.
have any accountability for Democrats who are losing to these types of candidates. Like,
Based.
we have to have some.
Shrug!
What do you mean
know-
no accountability? I mean, I think we are having accountability. They're going to lose. That's the accountability.
Yeah, but from liberal commentators like myself, for example, I cannot stand what's her name, Cori Bush. She lost by like 50 points to her opponent, Wesley Bell, and then called him a Republican. I'm extremely critical of her. She lost by 50.
The fish population in Lake Michigan is also sparse to begin with, I believe. Oh. Yeah, but, you know.
Points,
I
and
don't know, man.
she called him a Republican, which is not true.
Hang on. I need to get some food. I'll be right back. Okay. I just ate some Oreos.
That's bad.
Now, yeah, that's really bad. But why is there no heat? I don't see any coverage from center commentators about the primaries on who is going to be the up and coming candidate, or why are we putting forward these terrible candidates like a Janet Mills? Why was Mandela?
Oreos, yeah. I just ingested them. Now it's kind of misleading to call it a lake to begin with. It's actually a big scar on the earth left over from glacial drift.
Barnes not supported from the start?
I feel
Why
like
was
you're
Brad
missing it
Lander
then,
not
because
supported? Why was
we've
Mallory
talked
McMorrow
about
not supported?
Jen-
We had Mallory
Man, shut up, chat.
McMorrow right there. She was above. She was by far the favorite for Michigan, Mallory McMorrow. And guess what happened? All the progressive money went to El Sayed, and then all the establishment money went to Haley Stevens. That's why McMorrow ended up tanking. She was by far the favorite. If the establishment would have went for the compromise and went for McMorrow, she probably would have won.
Quick. The reason McMorrow ended up tanking is she tried to thread the needle, and she ended up being lukewarm. She was neither hot nor cold, so the voters spit her out of their mouth, right? She decided to play a balance where she appeased the establishment, but also went to the progressive side and played with those voters, and no one bought it. If you were an established someone who liked the establishment, who liked the old school Democrats, you went with Stevens. And if you were someone who was more progressive leaning, you went towards the more progressive candidate which was El Sayed. Yeah. So that's why she lost, right? Like this idea that Stevens was a bad candidate, all the fundamentals were against her, and she lost by less than a percentage point, right? Like, you had the entire left wing come out canvassing for her, come out promoting her, come out really pushing her,
lying about her.
All the fundamentals were against her. She had every single. She had Whitmer. She had Carville coming in. She had
pushing El Sayed in his primary and things like that. You have a populist wave where the establishment is seen as really bad in the Michigan area, and he still.
Stevens also apparently was an extremely good lawmaker. That's why the establishment chose her. Yeah, I know. But was she a doctor?
Wasn't able to put up more than a percentage, not even a percentage point of a victory. Like, Stevens was a great candidate. Stevens was strong.
I'm ordering food.
If you want to hear me critique Democrats, I can do that. I think it's really stupid that Dems are running like 10 candidates or 2 candidates even against DSA members. It obviously splits our votes. McMorrow should have dropped earlier, and it seems like Michigan needs to actually go and fix how they do when you can drop out, because what I think I read, I think the time that she should have dropped out by in order not to be on the ballot was like sometime in I think it was April. So yeah, if we're going to have candidates, we need to come together as like a party and do it earlier rather than later.
Yeah, for Haley Stevens in Michigan, I don't even have it pulled up right now, but she had every single big endorsement in Michigan. She had the outgoing, the senator that is leaving endorse her. She had Governor Whitmer endorse, Peters. She had Whitmer endorse her. She had James Carville come in, who's very influential with black voters as well, and she did win a majority of black voters. And every Michigan, it was actually a meme during the primary from like centrists that El Sayed has all the endorsement from other states. I think Stevens even said that he has the coastal elites coming in to endorse him. So when Wick says that she had all the fundamentals against her, I just don't agree. She had that. She had all the local endorsements that should be more influential in Michigan, not someone coming in from the outside. I think the final numbers from New York Times were either 10-1 or 9-1 outside spending. That extra $60 million definitely can't hurt. If she did not get that money, if she did not get the extra $60 million, Abdul probably does win by 5 or 10 points.
I think what Wick means right now is like the establishment isn't a popular thing. Nobody likes what's going on. So when you're an outside candidate and you're coming in and you're fighting against the establishment, you kind of have like the wind at your sails right now.
You have all the new media.
How much points did he win again? 15, right? Oh wait, just 1. Yet less than 1 point. Like, it's crazy. They like to think that it was like an indictment on like the establishment, but I think it was an indictment on the fucking leftists, that election, that primary, right? Because they almost lost that. Unironically, the Midwest accent discrimination was likely something that hurt her somewhat, like how people hate Liz Warren. Yeah, I know. I don't know, man. Like,
Loves you if you are this, right?
Everything's
All the
fucked.
podcast bros, all the Twitter folks, and people act like influencers for whatever reason. And we're going to talk about the Mitch voter guy too tonight, I think.
Hassan made fun of
for
her
whatever
for
reason,
it on stream,
people
I think.
online
Yeah,
have
because he's a
decided
trash person.
that online influencers have no influence, that the media has no influence. And they've decided to pretend this when that's just not true, right? You
And they're
had
influencers
new
for a
media, you had this Mitch voter guy make up a lie, right? Make up a lie about Stevens' internal pollster
Yes, he is a
calling
bigot and a racist.
someone up and calling Stevens up and saying, "Hey, you have no path to victory." And he pushed this lie, and a lot of people, big names, Hassan, Keith Edwards, Wahajit Ali, and a bunch of others picked this narrative and ran with it. And did it affect turnout? I have no idea, but they were trying to do that. They were attempting to do that. You have new media just willing to lie about you. And I guarantee that these kinds of, like, people think that money in politics has a huge effect. I don't know if it does. We looked at the 2020 primary.
True. I'm just a dirty little Russian to him, even though there's a lot of half Turks. Bruh. Stop flirting in chat.
campaigns,
I'm
right?
just kidding.
$1 billion were spent to get Bloomberg to be our nominee. One with a B, right? $1 billion. $1 billion. He didn't even get anywhere close. People overstate money in politics. They just do. The biggest threat to our political system isn't money. It's the staffers. And we see this how they're acting. Like, this is the threat that the DSA and other actors on the far left really pose, is they have positions of influence and power within the media and within organization groups and within the party. And they are pushing these candidates on us that are making it harder for us to beat MAGA. Look at when Al Said won the primary. We took a lean Democratic state and it became a toss-up. It's now objectively harder to win.
Also,
in a
if
blue
money
wave.
just won the election, then Tom Steyer would be at least one of the 2 governor nominees.
Are you saying money
Yes,
has zero
exactly. That's
impact?
more recent.
Money
No
has
one's
zero
saying money has
impact?
0 impact. We're not retarded. Of
Okay,
course,
then if
nobody's
money
saying
has any impact, then if both candidates had the same amount of money spent, then El Sayed probably wins by more than he did, right? If it has some impact.
I don't know.
Not necessarily. Like, there's been a lot of candidates who spend more money than other ones and lose, and there's been also candidates that spend less than other candidates. Like, it's a dumb answer.
No.
Like, dumb question.
Okay, so money has no impact, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Because if it
money
has
has
any
no
impact,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
You have
if
to
it
ha-
has
you have
any
to have a
impact, then
base level of it.
necessarily-
But it has can we at least acknowledge it has diminishing returns?
Yeah, I mean, if you have 18 ads of the same person back to back to back to back, especially like I criticized Kamala Harris, she was airing these dumb commercials in the middle of college football games. That's not going to help very much. But it does help with overall media saturation.
What do you
for
mean
sure.
it's not going to help airing a commercial during a college football game?
Having Kamala Harris come out in the middle of an NCAA game when everybody's in the bar drinking or whatever, no one's watching that commercial. I've been at these
You're
places.
completely
I've been
wrong.
Use an idiot. Diminishing returns. True.
people are staring at the TV and watching Kamala Harris ads on, all the dude bros
Yeah,
at the bar.
I think older people, the people who actually go and vote, are watching the ads. Yeah.
Well, I think
Yes.
it works on
Okay.
normal people too. Mountain Dew and Pepsi spend, billions of dollars for a
Yeah, this is a stupid argument. Why would they spend all their fucking money on advertisements if it didn't work? Like,
reason. And we all like to think that we're immune to the wiles of
no, what they should have done, what Kamala Harris should have done, is she should have said, I am Mao Zedong reincarnated, and I'm going to play Fortnite with Hasanabi. That's what she should have done, and she would have won the election.
Mountain Dew commercial, but there's a reason they spend billions of dollars.
Okay.
I would also like to say that I think Wick was really spot on here in that the new media landscape, in my opinion, is the biggest piece that people are missing in all of this, which is, you know, the ability of, and it kind of ties to money in a certain case where
There are so many ads for everything now. I just think a lot of people tune them out. Yeah, but the thing is that even when you're tuning it out, your brain is subconsciously taking in the information. Like I said, if they weren't working, they wouldn't be doing them, right? They clearly have some strategy behind when they send the ads during college football. I don't know why, but they probably thought about it. Yeah, I imagine he's got one specific scenario where he's like, what happens if they're in a bar and it's on the TV and there's an ad and nobody's paying attention to it? It's like, okay, what about every other situation where they could be watching it? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
each person, all of the people fighting for attention and relevance and therefore some amount of power and money are they're not necessarily doing it for forthright reasons. They're not doing it necessarily because they purely believe in some political ideology. Instead, it's something more of an attention economy where the most bombastic, or in the case of like the DSA and the political landscape, people promise the moon and they don't have to deliver anything. And so they get to use this sort of rocket fuel in the social media landscape to get attention. And we've seen it in MAGA. Once they actually get the reins of power, they can't deliver on anything. And to me, that is where I focus my thoughts on all of this conversation, is the new media landscape and the way that it is taking control of society and all these big decisions we're making.
If I may.
I will say,
Please.
just really quick on the new media point, because I know you're going to talk about that, but Haley Stevens did have probably the biggest new media clip of the primary with her.
We need Megu in a mouse suit. Hang on one sec. I got something for you. Hang on, let me put it on full screen. There you go, buddy. I don't know the lyrics. Who here knows that Chinese shit?
TMZ interview when she went off script and they did not want her to.
Who knows what extra households they'll reach that result in a few more votes. But Wick has a point. If messaging doesn't connect with the spirit of the age, then its returns are kind of diminished. Secret DSA member? True. I have been infiltrating food court so that I can manipulate everyone.
Do it, but she was her genuine self. If she would have done that more often instead of talking about Abdul Sayed's podcast over and over and over again, and I'm endorsed by Barack Obama like over and over again in the debate versus Abdul, she probably would have won. She would have won this primary, and you have to ask why the consultants are telling her to talk like that.
She didn't.
You talk about her endorsements constantly. If you look at the exit polls,
Well,
and
you
interviews
just
on
said
the
that
ground,
she said she was endorsed by Barack Obama.
I don't think
she
she
said
ever
that.
said
She
that.
never
she
said
gave
Obama!
the impression that she was in the flyer she put out, and you could see her talking to black voters. There's a clip of her walking around to everybody saying, "I was proud to work with Barack Obama." She's obviously laundering his name and using it for that purpose.
that. You realize
she did
that
not
she
say,
was
"I have an
endorsed by
official
Barack
endorsement."
Obama in the past, right?
Okay, was she for this election? That's a terrible
Did she?
argument.
No, but
Sorry,
if she
did
could-
she
Oh,
say
I
that
was
she
endorsed by Barack Obama when I ran for
Did she
Congress
say
in a
that?
Why would you not mention his fucking name? Like you're trying to win an election.
different race.
Did she ever say that? Did she ever
Why
say
did you bring that up? Why did you bring that point up? Why does it matter? if she
because
was
she
Well,
endorsed
because
by
this
Barack?
is one of the. Go ahead, Moon. Please. Sorry.
Because you're literally saying like, oh, why is she bring up Obama? Well, she was endorsed by Barack Obama in the past. She has worked with him.
Guys,
So why are you lying and saying that she said on the debate stage that she was endorsed by Barack Obama? Can you answer that?
Yeah, I think it's fair play. I think it's fair play to use Barack Obama's name. I
Sorry,
support
can you
any
answer
candidate to do
that?
that.
Why you lied and said that
True.
she said that she was endorsed by Barack Obama on the debate stage? Were you wrong?
Okay, I didn't say on the debate stage. She gave the impression when she was talking
Sorry,
to
were
voters and
you
also on the
wrong?
flyer she put
Yes
around.
or no?
I was super wrong.
Good.
101 subs. I know, right? I'm so fucking stoked. I was super happy about that. I'm wondering if I should do like a video just doing a thank you or something. But yeah, I was so stoked on that. Keep in mind, I started doing political content like 5 months ago. Like, yeah, it's probably not as fast as some other channels, but it's like I'm still really happy with the result. Like, I really like making the content that I do. You know, I like the comments. It's been really fun. I could get 0 subs from going forward, and I'd still be really happy with the results. Jesus.
Thank you.
Pulling some Pisco stuff.
Okay, so
Okay.
in the debate with Haley versus Abdul, he gave answers to questions on things like green energy, and also about the air pollution, about the sensors. They're going to detect air quality, how we can make sure that we monitor that from different corporations. And she went on a story about like, I'm endorsed by the Attorney General, I'm endorsed by Whitmer because I'm going to bring home a future for people like you. It's just a different kind of politics. She sounded great off script, and she kept bringing up Abdul's podcast over and over and over again. Why would she bring that up so many times? She had terrible advisors, and the one time she did a genuine appearance in front of media, she went off script with TMZ. She got by far the biggest media clip of the entire primary.
So what's your point here? Just that
A
you
new
like her
media
better
is
when she's, like,
accessible
off
to
script?
moderate candidates. John Ossoff goes huge on independent media. Tallarico does huge on independent media. These are not exactly far left DSA candidates. Definitely not John Ossoff. Definitely not Tallarico. But they can still use new media. It's a candidate quality issue.
Abdul's message was simple to understand. She didn't have a clear message. Yeah. Which kind of sucks because I think that's more of an indictment of how people run certain campaigns. But it's also like I was saying before, it's really easy for an anti-establishment candidate to run during a primary, right? It's like, I'm the little guy, and I'm representing the little guy. I'm here to stick up for you, yada 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 yada, right?
Well, that's not. Hold on. That's not a candidate quality issue. That's a messaging issue. Here, I will criticize it.
Yeah, and that's candidate
if I may-
quality. Yeah, if they
Well,
can't message
no.
in the modern era. Yeah.
Well,
Hold on.
if they're
Well, it's
capable of
obviously
it, they're
not a
just getting.
messaging issue because
let
she
me get
can't
my
do
point
it.
out.
Yeah.
Let me get my point out.
By his okay, whatever, dude.
I think that the Democratic Party, the DNC, the establishment, whatever you want to call them, has failed when it comes to meeting the moment with new media and the landscape that we find ourselves in. Their messaging has been terrible and it needs to improve. But that's not a candidate quality issue. When I think about candidate quality, I think,
Flatner.
how are they going to govern? Are they going to be able to get bills passed? Are they going to be able to
In the Netherlands, we called. Oh my god, I love that every time. Okay, anyway. In the Netherlands, we call these candidates the free beer for everyone candidates. She did rely a little too much on her bona fides and voting record. It's bad faith, but people will characterize it as I'm owed this election. Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, I've got food coming here in a second.
stand up for their constituents and meet the moment and oppose MAGA effectively. And I think that messaging matters, no doubt, but I think that that is what gets you in the door. One of my problems with the DSA and with the left and with the rise of the populist is it's all empty vagaries. We saw the DSA candidate went on I'm not sure which
Fox News?
which interview it was. I don't think it was Fox News this time. It might have been where they were basically asked about their tax policy, and they had slogans. We're going to tax the hell out of the rich. We're going to tax the hell out of them if you make a certain amount. And they were asked a very simple question. Okay, how does that work?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't able to answer.
Was this the vice?
Yes, because there is no fucking answer. They don't know how to implement the policies that they're advocating for. You could ask them, how does it work when you get rid of all of the police? What do you do in an emergency? You know what I mean? When you get rid of all of the prisons, what do you do with the criminals?
Lead to the DSA? Is that
Yeah,
what
was
you're
this
talking about?
Yeah.
Megan?
Yeah.
Megan Comer?
And
Megan
that,
Romer.
that continues to happen. When pushed on, how are you going to get this done? They don't have any answers. And it's because
yeah,
it's
I
all
don't like
empty.
the DSA.
It's
Yeah,
all
I'm
vacuous.
against the DSA. Yeah, I don't like the DSA. Yeah, I'm against that.
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
think that we can agree that like the Democratic members need to do better with new media and need to come across more.
Also shows how unserious these people are. They don't think they will win because they promise the sky. Yes, that's why I said it would be a good argument to frame like socialism and communism and whatnot. Instead of saying that it doesn't work, say that it's a scam, because that makes a lot more sense and it's easier to imprint that on people, right? If you tell someone that socialism is a scam, like they're, you know, and that it overpromises the world and everything. Also, they're tellingly sparse on concrete transit policies. Free. Yes. It's not free, it's just taxpayer funded, which is fine, but it's like, it does end up being cheaper. You know. Anyway, I'll be right back. Mitty, you are in charge of the stream, okay? Yeah. Yeah, she left. Did you order some grog as well? No, I did not. You're gonna watch the video while I eat, okay? So enjoy that.
Personable versus like robots like Hillary Clinton did. Like if you watch Hillary Clinton interviews now, I don't know if I was brain broken back then or what, but Hillary Clinton now seems super personable, super cool, super chill, like somebody you could go have a beer or talk with. Versus before, when she was running in 2016, it all felt weird, cringe, and just not good. So I will agree with you, Joel. We have a problem in the Democratic Party, and we're not like faultless.
Yeah, I definitely agree about Hillary Clinton. I don't know if that's I was definitely brain broken at the time, but I also think that if she would have done more long form media, if she hadn't been so allergic to going on more podcasts, things of that nature, she might have endeared herself better to the public. Although, I mean, being the way things were at the time and how much the well was poisoned regards to people's perception of Hillary Clinton. I don't know about that. So the danger here then is the DSA's ability to capitalize on the wide open media landscape that has been a bit
That's one of them, yes.
underutilized by. That's one of them.
Yeah, the
Yes, one of them.
Republicans seem
And
to
to be
have.
clear, the messaging they're using to gain power and influence is anti-Democratic Party, right? That's how they win. Is they point to the Democratic Party and they say these guys are failures. These guys suck. These guys can't win. These guys haven't done shit for you, right? And they use populist rhetoric to paint the Democratic Party as feckless, impotent, and bad. And like we have studies actually that show one of the reasons it's been hard to hold Trump accountable for his corruption is because so many voters see the right and the left as the
Equally
same
corrupt.
when it comes to corruption. That's bullshit. But one of the reasons they feel that way, and one of the reasons the voters think that way, is because you've had nonstop for the last 10 years a constant stream from segments of the left saying just that, right? This is the danger, one of the major dangers that the DSA, the far left, etc., pose is the messaging that they use to win makes it harder for us to differentiate ourselves from MAGA.
Dems need to run on easy things that like the American people are actually gonna like. One of them is just gonna be, I'm in super big support of free or reduced childcare. Every family can take home extra money each month; it'll go in their pocket. Another thing would be stock trading. I don't think any Democratic candidates or anybody in office, public office, should be allowed to just publicly trade stocks, especially in Congress or the presidency. So we need to have better messaging as Democrats.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that the right adapted to the new media landscape a lot quicker. I think they were pressed to do so because they were in the sort of minority culture of political discourse. You know, we had the Obama years, the Bush years. They didn't really stand for much. They hadn't had a real champion since Reagan. And so they sort of gravitated towards these new media spaces to sort of recreate their culture. And we've seen the further left doing the same thing. And my big worry here is, you know, maybe there is no solution because of the modern media landscape and because it prefers the rocket fuel conversations, the big promises and the, you know, the easy money, the easy solutions at the snap of the finger, like Wick says, if we just get rid of the liberal systems in our way, then we can just, you know, usher in our great new society. And I'm worried that there is a long-term, maybe unsolvable problem of real solutions, moderate solutions, safe solutions that don't solve everything instantly easily, don't have a selling point in the modern media landscape. And I'm not sure what's going to bring us back from that.
I think when you're running, you just say all the sloppulous shit, and then when you actually get to Congress, you have to really govern.
I've heard
Um,
that strategy going around, and
What Mooten just said there was wrong. Because you're still competing on the same messaging. It's still, the brain rot's continuing. What you need to actually do is you need to label what's like the sloppulest shit is, right? It's a scam. It sounds good because they're scamming you. They can't actually do those things. That's what it needs to be campaigned on. Yes, you do need to know. And that's the problem. A lot of these leftists don't know anything about what they're fucking doing. I don't believe it's a walking a fine line. I think it's right now, people are being told that nothing works when it does. At the end of the day, you, me, and everyone else, we get up and the world still functions as normal, right? We do have difficulties, but like the problems that we face in the West are extremely overhyped. You know, cost of living sucks, yeah, but you know what happened during the Strait of Hormuz shit when fuel and everything was like going up in price? Countries in Asia, they don't have the same options me and you do. They just fucking had to close shit down and had to rely and had to prioritize like fucking extremely important fucking infrastructure. You know what I mean? Like, I think just people in the West need to just grow up here and stop being such fucking crybabies.
Like
I don't like
I'm
that.
That's what
cynical
the actual
enough.
solution is.
I'm cynical enough that I'll vote for someone even if I know they're doing that. Like if Gavin Newsom starts promising some slopulism and he's our presidential candidate, I'm pulling that lever every time. But
So
I-
I don't
I'm
like
not
that either,
sure.
Wick, but I think that you probably have to like pick.
Sorry, buddy. My rent's too high. You're gonna have to go back. We're not taking in refugees anymore. You know, my rent's too high.
your slopulism and go in like that method. Obviously, you shouldn't just do everything. Like anybody
like
who wants to
Boromir.
ban data centers is stupid.
yeah, you're like Boromir though, right? You're looking at the One Ring, you're holding it in your hand, and you're like, I can use it to help. I can use it to win. No, cast that shit in the fire, bro. Like one of the problems with populist rhetoric is that it destroys trust in institutions. Populism has to have an us versus them dynamic. Otherwise, it's not populism.
Sure, but if
Right?
our allies all have the fucking One Ring, we have to. Or sorry, our enemies all have the One Ring. Like we're gonna have to use it too, Wick.
I don't agree. And I think that this idea that we have to destroy the trust in our institutions so that we can somehow build back trust in our institutions isn't going to work. One of the reasons our democracy in America works has been our institutions, right? They have helped us grow and helped the American style democracy project really take off and be the best in the world. And one of the biggest reasons MAGA is winning is because the trust in science is all-time low, trust in media is an all-time low, trust in academia is at an all-time low, trust in Congress is at an all-time low, trust in the executive is at an all-time low, right? Like if we want to get out of the MAGA era, we have to actually defend our institutions and say, no, sorry, sir, that rando college graduate with a bachelor's in communications does not actually know how to solve these problems. But that 60-year-old who's worked in this industry for his entire life might have a solution or two, right?
Sure, then our Democratic candidates need to actually go on stage and say that.
Yes,
Because I
no,
feel like
that's
nobody's
why I said we
saying
have a
that.
messaging problem. Yes,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
right.
yeah,
You're right.
sure.
But it's not. But it's hard to win primaries saying that because of the populist wave. It's
Sure, but
just-
I feel like that's a bit of a defeater. Like if Haley Stevens was up there, and I think she was kind of trying to say this by calling him a podcaster, but I think you need to be a lot more blatant and in the voters' face about it and just be like, this guy has never done anything in like actual the Congress or the Senate or public office. Like really, I know he kind of had whatever it was.
That's a whole lot of shit that that needs to be addressed, and decades of decline. True. What can I say?
But she needs to go out there and
It's
just
the
be harder
decline
about
of the
it.
Western
I don't
Empire.
know.
Yeah. But when she does promote her work in the actual political industry, people like Jolo will say, "Oh, she's just saying that she's endorsed by Obama." No, she was using that to show, "Hey, the president of the United States really liked my work with his auto industry package for this state that I helped to govern, I helped to get through."
You know what we need? Australia should just be in charge of every country on Earth. To be fair, Hillary Clinton had some banger interviews recently. People do need to listen more to her, because she gets it. Yeah, well, I mean, she's always gotten it. She's always been a really intelligent person. Like, the problem is that everyone could just kind of slander her as being, you know, wanting to genocide it, the Middle East or some shit, right? And that she was eating babies.
I helped to implement. Like, these are all positives, and I feel like we're living in a world where being a politician is seen as a negative when it should not be, right?
Yes.
I think that that is, again, the result of people leaning on populist rhetoric.
Yes.
Is people who are experts are not seeing.
Also, the West is way better off, but the US is approaching a line. The post-World War II infrastructure is starting to wither on the vine. Yeah, but as someone who visited the Philippines, I think the US infrastructure, yeah, it's got its problems, but it's, you know, it's not that bad. I don't know how else to say that. Texas implodes if one snowflake drops. Yeah, but you know, what are people supposed to do? Like, they just keep electing Republicans and they don't do anything about it, right? Kamusta ka? Kamusta po? Gusto ko fucking words.
As unable to
Very
do
good
the
point.
job. And
Thank
so
you,
we
Paul.
need fresh, young, outside voices that'll get shit done. And everything seems to be getting worse.
I think an issue like ICE definitely deserves populist rhetoric and populist anger, and I think it's at the point of losing control completely, where we do need some.
None of it
pushing
needs
from
populist
the far
rhetoric.
left, and that's why I
Populism
think
is-
DSA candidates are probably healthy
Jollibee is masarap. I really enjoyed Jollibee. It was pretty good. I just really wish it didn't give me cancer.
for Democrats in that regard. We do need very, very radical action with ICE. Like Tom Homan won his highest awards and accolades under Barack Obama. He's been around for a while. Obama did a great job decreasing the private prison system and overall private prison spending, but that spending went directly to detention centers. And right now we currently have government officials like Miller and Homan who are invested in GEO Group
So I'm just looking
and
at
a
the
bunch
cat.
of other operators of these private prisons. And we have mentally ill, manic, idiot wife beaters murdering people cold-blooded, like in Maine, for example. Not having even a crime scene preserved with evidence. Not having any trial, no investigation, like nothing at all. The FBI is not even going to be investigating these cases anymore.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, and I think that is like an issue where voters are.
Wait, what was this?
Maine, for example, not having even a crime scene preserved with evidence, not having any operators of these Miller and Homan who are invested in GEO Group and a bunch of other operators of these private prisons. And we have mentally ill, manic, idiot wife beaters murdering people cold-blooded, like in Maine, for example. Not having even.
We need more of theme. Huh? Oh, theme here. No more white nurses. I need more folk from Manila that know what the fuck they're doing. First of all, the people in Manila do not know what the fuck they're doing. The fact that you said that means that you haven't been to the Philippines. Because they do some crazy shit there. I remember when I had to get a shot because I got like scratched by a cat and you know, rabies is a thing there. So I had to go get rabies shots. They did not wear gloves while fucking handling the syringes or anything, man. Like, if they can't even be bothered wearing gloves, it's just a bit sus. But I had no options, right? I had to do it. Go to Cebu. They're good nurses, is all. I have no idea. I don't think. I haven't heard much positive things about the health system in the Philippines at all, man. From some family members and that live there.
And even a crime scene preserved with evidence, not having any trial, no investigation, like nothing at all. The FBI is not even going to be investigating these cases anymore.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, and I think that is like an issue where voters are. I think they're right to want populist anger about that, and I don't know if we're going to get the
I don't know
reforms.
if
And
that's
even if
populist anger.
my overall take would be repeal and replace ICE. You don't even need to be like abolish, but that's like Abdul's point is repeal and replace it with the it wasn't ICE, it was the immigrant.
He does say
what was it called
abolish
again?
ICE, but yeah, what he means is repeal and replace, which I think is what most people
INS
want.
was it? Immigration and
Naturalization
Naturalization
Services or
Services.
whatever.
Yeah, the
you say
INS
that,
was
that's
before
what most
ICE.
people
Yeah.
want, and I agree with you.
That's what Abdul said.
But there
yeah.
is a group of people who don't want that. First one, I don't think that being angry at ICE right now is necessarily populist rhetoric. You can use populist rhetoric in order to target ICE, but you can also use institutionalist rhetoric to say
Their nurses are very friendly, but I mean, every Filipino is extremely friendly. They're some of the most, the loveliest people you'll ever meet. They don't get enough respect, honestly. They're super nice people.
this institution
Is broke.
has fundamentally been
But
subverted
they have a serious addiction to karaoke. It's a problem.
to what it was supposed to be by Trump basically opening the doors to all these crazy fucking folks to come in and be ICE agents, and what the policies from the top because of Trump's appointments have subverted the agency, and so it has to go, and so we can build a better agency, right? And we can build a better version of immigration enforcement in America. I don't think that that's necessarily populist rhetoric. It can be, but you're absolutely right that if it is an institutionalist take to say this institution isn't working and we need to reform it, or we need to replace it, or it's just not fulfilling the job that we thought it needed to do, so we just need to get rid of it, right? This is a fundamentally different thing than saying the corporate elites have destroyed us and it has decided to subvert the will of the people, right? These are different types of messaging, and I think that we need to be careful with how we message. for
Maybe this
even
would define
things
my
that we have
point better.
conversations
So
with.
I think we need. This might be a good take to get things stirring a little bit. I think we need people like Kyle Kulinski to get ICE reformed. I think we need agitators who say
Why would you need Kyle Kulinski to get ICE reformed? What are we talking about? Badminton, adobo, rice? They are ER trauma juggernauts in my experience. Okay.
a bunch of crazy shit who have huge platforms to say this is messed up in a really emotional way that gets people really fired up. That's not just like, oh, I'm doing a
You don't think
policy analysis
people are
of
already
the...
fired up about like people getting shot on the street?
Yeah, true. We need Kyle Kulinski to make it so that people are anti-ICE. What a fucking take.
I don't think Kyle
Yeah.
Kulinski is adding to the firing, honestly.
No, but he's helping. He's moving in the right direction. I looked at his page
Ow.
earlier today. He's making like 15 anti-Trump videos for every one anti-Democrat video. I'll take that ratio any freaking day. And people like him are being rejected by liberals, mostly online. But everyone I know watches Kyle Kulinski. Everyone I know watches
because I don't
even
think Kyle
Breaking
Kulinski is
Points,
like a Democrat. I don't think he's a
Well,
part
that
of like
kinda
the
explains
team.
your takes, if everyone
He's
you know
honestly just
watches
like a political
Kulinski.
pundit.
It's young people. It's young people who are like being motivated to join like the DSA and who like Zoran Mamdani and AOC and Bernie Sanders.
Kyle didn't endorse Harris? No, he didn't. Yeah.
And these young people are gonna grow up to be political actors, and we need an off ramp for them from the DSA.
Kyle
and
was
we have
made in a
to
lab.
At least abide by
The
some
Chapo Trap House
things they believe to
basement,
be
true.
very true about politics.
This is true.
Can I ask you a question, Jola?
Mhm.
Would you be okay with a pundit who was very anti-Trump? Okay, every day he came out with an anti-Trump video. It's just that every month, right? So after 30 days of anti-Trump videos, every month he comes out with a video of why we can't trust black people. Black people will steal your daughters. They'll steal your bike. They'll come out and make your life worse. And black people are the worst. Would you let someone like that in your party, or would you say that it's okay to watch this guy because he's primarily anti-Trump?
Oh, I feel like he's going to say, nah, it's okay.
I would say. Now here's the difficult thing. So I would compare that to spreading a video of like Sagar on Breaking Points, maybe. where I would maybe use them as a tool to maybe not de-radicalize, but to suppress the voter turnout of idiots who would follow someone like that. So even if it's not, and this can be a debate also about friggin', I don't know how I feel. I'm leaning towards negative about Hunter Biden on Tucker Carlson's. I have not seen the whole thing. I've seen clips, but so far Hunter Biden's like, oh, we had a great time.
Is this a
looking at
yes
the
or
real
a
identity of
no?
Israel. Well, it requires a lot of nuance because the actors were.
Can you say
involved in
yes or
here
no
are gonna be
first, and then we
tools.
can get the
Okay, Pisco. Jesus.
nuance after?
I mean, the coalition, no, but are they useful? Yes.
Okay. This is part of the One Ring thing. I don't think we should be using people like that.
No.
Well, I'm glad you wouldn't let them into the coalition. I appreciate that. But I think that you're playing with fire when you're using people like that, right? You're saying, well, we're creating this beast, we're feeding it, we're giving it attention, we're giving it impressions, we're giving it views, we're spreading its clips, all these things, and we can control this beast, right? I think that you're making a mistake when you do that. And
I
same
think
with
I'm
Kyle
returning-
Kulinski, right? I think that people who are promoting Kyle Kulinski, he is someone who I consider an anti-Semite. I think that he's very anti-democratic. I think that I worry about his aversive elements. Sharing him because he's anti-Trump most of the time is like saying, well, we can control this forest fire. It will never get out of bounds. We know it has, a potential to be disastrous, but, it really is helping us in some ways.
But
We don't
Kyle
need to do this. This
Kulinski-
is not necessary.
The entity of Kyle Kulinski will be existing no matter what we do, and Breaking Points will exist no matter what we do. They are going to exist. They're going to have huge platforms, bigger than all of ours, times probably like 1,000. They're going to be spread all over the internet. They are very, very freaking popular.
No, just no. I'm sorry. Platinum's Blackwater Past should have been DSA Kryptonite, but they have no principles. Yeah, no, they do not. There was so many things about Platinum that I have no idea how anybody thought that was okay. Anyway, let me see if I can do this. Okay, just a fun fact.
When I got cheated on, I found out that my ex had cheated on me. Sobbing, like my life was over. Oh my
Just
god,
off topic.
sad. It was so sad. But I like those kind of stories that make you feel something, Ruben, thanks for 10 gifted subs. Thank you.
Anyway, her ex cheated on her. I wonder who her ex was. Alright, that's all.
They are growing like a wildfire, like the analogy you just kind of used. I would compare it to, I think you would agree. Do you believe that Russians and the right wing help fund the Green Party to beat Democrats?
Yes, they do.
I don't know if the word is to beat, but to
Well,
subvert.
to split the vote. I would compare it
Yes,
to
yes,
that,
yes.
where I want people who are going to say there's two types. So one would be like, oh, we're going to make a third party, and
Actually, you know who I'm sending that to? I'm sending that to Food Shops. I think she will like that. Hassan went to a Diddy party and broke up with his girlfriend when she went to a Diddy party. I wonder why. True. Anyway.
destroy the Republican Party. So that might be like a Jill
Janice Griffith. Yes. The one that he called the police on. True.
Stein, but for them, libertarians do that sometimes. Or it'll be Like we are going to. I hate both parties, but I guess you should be voting Democrat, or I guess you should be voting Republican. Like the old Joe Rogan endorsement before he became a full-on cuck.
Yeah, but you understand in Russia's goal isn't just to beat the Democratic Party, right? Russians' goal is to fucking destroy America, right?
Mhm.
They are wanting to cause chaos. They do not care about the second order consequences of who they promote. In fact, it's probably a bonus to them. Like, no, oh, we get to hurt the Democratic Party and push these crazy conspiracies? Hell yeah, right? Like this idea that the that we should do the same thing is to fundamentally misunderstand that we as people who want to have America grow strong are in a fundamentally different place than our adversaries across the ocean that want to just destroy us all. They want to destroy MAGA too, right? They want to destroy it all, right? So I
Well, now
don't
they
think
do.
that we should be doing the same as Russia. I think that
They
that's
got MAGA into place already. Now they want to dissolve MAGA, dissolve it into the JD Vance, Peter Thiel, completely Russian.
The reluctance endorsement might as well be no endorsement, and they're sore losers and even more abysmal winners. Yeah, pretty much.
own party. Right now, it's like a competition between
It's
a
very
couple
sage.
different forces of foreign powers to control the Republican Party, which is really fun. And part of Laura Loomer going to Ukraine, which now the lefties hate Ukraine even more now, which is insane. And I wish Dylan was here. That'd be a good person to have here for that conversation. But I would just say that when I'm talking to people, I've gotten a surprising number of people to not vote Republican by showing them a Joe Rogan post. But before he was a complete cuck, like I said, even Joe Rogan doesn't like this guy. Or even right now, I can get a Republican to not vote Republican. And you can say like there's second and third orders that can like really destroy us about that if they are successful in making the Republican Party even worse. But I can get Republicans to not vote Republican right now by showing them a Tucker Carlson video, which I do think is very dangerous. And that's the whole Hunter Biden conversation. Then you have to have a conversation about how likely do you think it is that would be successful, and who are the figures you're pushing, and what are they saying. So like Sauger from Breaking Points, I think he might just be an asshole that can help us like say negative things about Republicans sometimes. But I think Tucker Carlson is very powerful and dangerous to play with. So I'm anti like Hunter Biden doing that for that reason. It is
I would only be anti Hunter Biden if he only went on there and he like jerked off Tucker Carlson the whole time.
He kind of,
If he
I mean,
went-
they went
haven't
in on
watched
the
it
Israel
yet.
point. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Israel point, even after Hunter Biden's like, we both related around the one core issue that Israel is the one that leaked my nude photos and destroyed my father. Israel, yeah, they went fully into that.
If
so.
he just went on there and jerked off Tucker Carlson, I would say that is absolutely bad. If you're going on these platforms, you should be somewhat adversarial and you should have a real conversation and at least show the audience at least one point that you disagree on.
I'm sure he did something, but
yeah.
overall negative in my opinion. I
I'll
need to
watch
watch
it, and I'll
it too,
check
to
it.
be
Yeah,
fair. Yeah.
I'd like
Did
to try
any of
to
you
unpack Wick's metaphor there, where the idea of someone who had 50 videos that were anti-MAGA and then one that was anti-black. And I think that obviously is...
If you think you can help your democracy by creating lies, you lost the plot. Because freedom of speech exists so that you can find out what's best, and lies ruin it, yes. Hassan already taking victory laps and spiking the football over Michigan, even though the general hasn't happened. Yeah, I know, right? Because he's more happy that they defeated an establishment Democrat than he is about like what the potential of defeating a Republican is. In fact, after Abdul al-Said won his primary, the odds of the Dems winning that state went down dramatically, right? So
designed to morally load some of this in a way that isn't quite analogous, because it offends us very viscerally to the concept of being racist is so obviously wrong.
yeah, I know, right?
But
He's somehow solely responsible
Socialism
for both of
and
them.
progressive ideas are not so obviously wrong. They
Because he just showed up and said, I'm going to just candidate, and that's it. Like, he doesn't do anything. What does he do? Did he do canvassing? Like, does he get his members of his community to canvass anything? Or I don't know what he does. True, we are all secret socialist. He's going to pretend the Come Town endorsement didn't do more. True.
they don't creep. They don't. They're not as malignant and irrational as that. And there's a lot more people
Endowment.
that are open to those ideas today, whereas I don't think I might have to chew on this a little bit more, but what
Well-
I'm trying, yeah, go for it, Kyle.
It's been an insidious process, right? The Democrats have been accused of socialism for the past 10 years or so, which has made it a lot easier for actual
Mad.
socialist ideas to establish themselves as being acceptable within the a lot of people's minds of what the democratic framework should be. I think that's been one of the biggest problems with
Lock the fuck in, bunch of Islamophobes. True. That's what I am. I am an anti-Zionist, Islamophobe, Islamic extremist, pro-genocide
with
Jewish
the way
person.
that
That's what I am.
process has gone to this point, and so far as bringing in the Socialist Party or the DSA into the Democratic Party, rather.
So two things.
Sure.
One, it's been way more than 10 years. I remember Rush
Well,
Limbaugh back
sure.
in the day calling Clinton a socialist, right? I remember like they used to say this about Democrats in the 80s, and I'd assume the 70s as well, right? And I'd assume the 60s
right, with
too,
Carter,
right? Like
with
this has
Jimmy,
been
yeah.
a thing for forever. And
Sure,
two,
fair enough.
I do take issue with the framing that socialism isn't as obviously bad as racism. I kind of think it is.
Well,
I
wouldn't
kind
go
of
that far.
would argue that it might be, but that's a discussion we can have.
Let
if
me
you
try
like.
another tact with it here. So imagine we are back in the 1960s where racism was more virulent and alive. You might choose the social media person, maybe there's some late night show and 50 of their jokes are punching against the right and one of their jokes is super racist. You might still say, I would rather these racists watch this guy and stay racist as they're already going to be, but move them more towards a rational position on these very important things. I think that's why I'm against sort of the moral loading of that question here. I think we do live in a place where those people are. If you're Kyle Kalinske,
Many heated car arguments with Albanian ex-girlfriends. Not big fans of the Jews, unfortunately. You know what? I love my Jews, my Jewish overlords. I typically make 30 racist videos and one pro-democratic video at the end of the month. Honestly, not that surprising. I've always gotten that impression from you that you would make 30 racist videos.
Kalinske fan, you're already going to be open to socialism, and so if you use a Kyle Kalinske clip to radicalize someone against Republicans, but they're already a socialist, they're already a Kyle Kalinske fan, I don't think you're really increasing the harm and increasing the amount of socialism in some serious degree, and that is outweighed by what you're doing in bringing them against MAGA. I think there's a fine line that we're going to have to search for in this political battle that we're
Sure.
facing. We need to be afraid of alienating too many people, right?
Well,
Like
here's the thing.
even treating Jola here as an enemy to a degree would be bad, and I would rather have
Why?
Pisco
Why?
people like Pisco and Hutch having open communications, having open social relationships with people like Kyle Kalinske that are a little nearer to us and a little bit more rational than Crystal and etc. And I think we would benefit more from having those relationships and dialogues than shutting them off.
Kyle is not on our side. He's on the side of content and content creation. I don't like when people say that like Kyle is like a Democrat. Kyle has voted for Jill Stein since like 2008.
Yeah.
I think that we fundamentally misunderstand the danger that look, I'm all for talking to even my enemies, right? Having good faith, open dialogue with even people I strenuously, vigorously disagree with. But one of the things that when you have that kind of conversation with someone, you have to make it very, very clear that there is serious, strenuous disagreement, that they are your political enemy, right? Jola is in this my political enemy. He wants a different thing than I do, one that I feel is harmful to the overall health of not only the Democratic Party, but America as a whole. We have data on what wins elections. We have a lot of data on what wins elections. And guess what, gang? Moderation is what wins elections. Blue dogs outperform progressives who outperform the DSA. We know this. We have the data years and years and years, election after election after election after election. For some reason, people have decided that, well, yeah, we have all this data, but this guy on Twitter once said that the socialists, there are secret socialists waiting to rise up as soon as a socialist gets nominated.
I dated a Chinese girl who saw another Chinese girl here in the Netherlands and then said to me, she doesn't belong here. This country is for white people. Shut the fuck up, Chinchilla.
For a primary position.
Jesus
or
Christ.
the youth voters will turn out this time, I swear, right? It doesn't happen. We can look at the stuff that we know to work and we can use that. And I don't know why we have to pretend that well, maybe if we just sidle up with the
Everyone bully Chinchilla. Yeah, that was the last date as well. True based. You know what? We need to support our racist Chinese queens.
socialisms or the socialists, we need them on our side. I would argue that having a socialist on my side pushes 10 moderates away. For every one socialist vote we gain, we'll lose 10 other voters. I think it's just a simple math equation, and moderating wins.
Moderating's good.
Hashtag food shops.
I think that might win
food
in
shops
general
is our
on
Chinese
long
queen.
trends, but it might not meet certain moments. And I think we come
What
to
does
these,
that mean?
what I mean is, of course, it would tend towards sort of the Overton Center over time, and some sort of establishment, some sort of tendency. Like you wouldn't it wouldn't be rational to assume that there would be a system that's just bouncing from extreme to extreme. Of course, some sort of average and center. I mean, I guess I would have to look more at what data you're pulling from to understand how this fits into your argument. But you can't imagine a situation where an extreme event happens, so it needs an outside of conventional solution.
Sure, I think you can obviously look at outliers and things like that, and
But the Senate and the Congress,
Yeah.
like it's a numbers game. Like even if we're gonna
Yeah.
miss one because somebody is too moderate, we're gonna on average win
But
most
that
of them.
okay,
We'll win
but
more
what I'm
states
saying
than
is
we
that
lose.
one could be a year rather than an individual in a year. I'm saying you could have a year
Sure, but I
which
would
requires
also rather that
Mhm.
that we miss a year and then usually we're winning.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
I'd
trying to
rather-
argue
yes.
that there's nothing to
Yeah.
that concept of generally
Mhm.
elections are won by moderate candidates. But I would say, there's exceptions to every
One of
statistical
the
data set.
one of the problems we're having actually right now is gerrymandering has an interesting side effect in that it makes certain districts more extreme, right? So if we were Republicans and we wanted to gerrymander a state to be more red, to have more congressmen come from red districts, we would dilute the Republicans, right? We would
Their end state is the end of West. The TSA is political ISIS based. And they want to bring about Armageddon, Asmon Golden. That was a miss. To go to socialist Jenna. True. They do want to
make
do all of those
a
things.
plus
These are
8
not
Republican
lies.
district into like a plus 2 Republican district, and then we would pool all the Democratic voters into one district. So they get 1 and we get 8, right? Maybe we get 8 representatives. But the problem with that is that when we have these cobalt blue districts, the progressives have or not the progressives, I'm sorry, the far left, the DSA types have a far more likely chance of winning. And this works in reverse too, right? When the Democrats again decide to gerrymander.
Okay. I'm be real. I'm feeling a little bit sick and tired. I'm probably going to end the stream a bit early. I was intending to stream for a lot longer, but I'm not feeling too well, unfortunately. As you can tell by the energy just disappearing. But if I feel better, I will stream again later, okay, guys? Peoples, friends. Alright. True, you definitely are. I'm sorry. I'll be back a bit later, okay? Hang on, let me put it on full screen. So I can do this. Alright. I'll catch you later. Bye.